Person just almost and this is 43 mailmen fight the Germans. The first battle of World War II? What? How is first battle of World War II this kind of like a weird 43 mailmen fight the Germans? Is that how it all started? Okay. I know, like, Hitler was basically doing his thing and slowly becoming more and more aggressive, attacking places and things where everybody's like, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, okay. Germany was like, just put under pressure after World War One. Now there's another guy who's like too strong, too, idealistic, slowly becoming extreme. I hope everything's gonna be fine. That's how it started, I think. But I know it just like point blank started because of some battle like this. This is the first battle apparently. So this is equivalent to like, France Ferdinand getting shot type of thing, like a domino effect. Yeah, it would be so awesome if it is. 43 million. This was Fat Electrician. It's a new video, 17 hours ago, I guess. Yep. Fat Electrician is great for things like this. All the mostly like badass scenarios, mostly like badass people, badass fighters, basically badass equipment. Some weird shit like some R&D thing, right? Bat bombs and things like that. And obviously also like battles and things. But that's, as far as I can see, that's rare. It's mostly like equipment and badass people. So this is about, I don't know if there's like specific protagonist type of badass guy here, but it's just like it's an event. So let's watch it. Remember, we'll flag my and don't forget to subscribe. That way you can help this channel by helping the algorithm. You can improve the impressions so more people can see this video. And yeah, if you haven't seen the other reactions I did about Fire Electrician, I did a playlist for it. Check out the link in the description, that you'll find it, or in the end of the video, check out the end cards, and let's watch it.
For you, it's September 1st, 1939. It's Friday, but you've got a job, you've got stuff to do because you're a Polish mailman and you just got to work. So you grab your packages and you set out to go deliver the mail. And right as you step outside the post office, a bunch of armored vehicles pull up full of German SS soldiers, and they inform you that you're going to surrender or else. Do you A, surrender, or B, go back in the post office and proceed to get in a firefight with the Germans for the next 19 hours? Today we're talking about the most gangster post office of all time and the first battle of World War II, when 43 Polish mailmen went toe-to-toe with the German SS for 19 hours. But first, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by my favorite sporting goods store.
Wait a minute, what does he mean Polish? Is this like, well, obviously the World War II started with the invasion of Poland, right? Family Guy did the event of it. Family Guy always took a dark turn, but yeah, that kind of like encapsulated like how it must have been, like instantly, oh shit is going down. So I'm guess during that time, like a Warsaw time, right? When they just marched to Warsaw, this is the first encounter there, like first fight.
Or Shields. They've got over 35 retail locations all across the United States. And if you can't make it to one of these incredible retail locations, they also have an even
Wait a minute, that is a music, right? What am I hearing there?
Better online store that I'm going to have linked in the description down below. And of course, our newest sponsor, Zaka Life Go Balm. It's made in the USA, 100% organic, full spectrum CBD balm that you can put on any ache, any sprain, or athletic injury, and it's going to make it immediately feel better. This is one of the few times that I've actually approached a company to rep their product and not the other way around, because I actually use this stuff, okay? I'm 30, I'm fat, I've been doing construction for years, things hurt, this makes it not hurt. So if you're in the same boat as me, go ahead and give this stuff a try over at ZakaLife.com. Use the discount code FAT5 to save some money. Let's get back to the
same
video.
Edge as me,
all right,
apparently.
important background info. This is the German Empire before World War I. Got it? Okay, great. This is the German Empire after World War I. Notice how Poland cuts it in two, and at the very tippy top of Poland, there is the free city of Danzig. Okay, what is a free city, and why does that map seem to imply that it is its own country? Well, because basically it is. It is its own sovereign entity with its own passports, its own currency, and its own form of government. You see, at the end of World War I, when they were negotiating the Treaty of Versailles, both Germany and Poland really wanted dominion over the city of Danzig because, as you can see, it's built on the coast of a perfect geographic harbor. This made it a major port city and an economic powerhouse, which is why Germany and Poland were both fighting over it, and they were fighting over it for so long that it would end up holding up the entire Treaty of Versailles. And finally, the League of Nations stepped in and they're like, hey, okay, well now neither one of you are going to get it. It's going to be its own sovereign entity, its own little thing, whatever, we don't have time for this, moving on. So the free city of Danzig was founded in 1920. However, considering that pretty much the entire population was either German or Polish, Danzig decided that they were going to grant a bunch of extraterritorial properties to either country, and one of those properties would be the Polish post office, which was just that.
I mean, that is like a stupid way of thinking, right? Like none of you can have it, yeah, but the population is there, and they're going to identify as that, right? It's either religion or what type of people are there. That always dictates, Right, that's the whole issue with the Middle East, right? Okay, here's the countries. This is what you get. No, that's not really how it works. Well, like you need to realize like which religious people are there or which type of ethnic people are there. That way it will go. If you just fucking drop borders without caring, yeah, it's gonna cause issues.
That sovereign Polish territory. And that's pretty much all the background info you need. So fast forward to April 1939, things are getting real tense between Poland and Germany. Hitler's been in power for the last 6 years, the Nazi movement is well underway, and for the last couple of years, a ton of hardcore Nazis referred to as the brown shirts have basically been trying to intimidate Polish people to move out of Danzig so they can reestablish it as part of Germany. Poland, seeing this, decides, hey, they might try something soon on our extraterritorial properties, so we're going to take a single army combat engineer by the name of Konrad Gdarsky. We're going to send him over to the post office. He's going to help fortify that position and teach all the mailmen how to fight. That way, hopefully, they'll be able to hold the post office for like an hour or two while the army has time to get in.
You got mail. Oh, what is it? Bam. It was a grenade. That's how they fight.
There and defend it. So Conrad shows up at the post office. He's got a bunch of pistols, some carbines, a couple of crates of grenades, and 3 Browning 1928s, which as you can see is just the Polish equivalent of the American BAR. At this point, there's 56 people working at the post office. Conrad explains the situation, says he's taking volunteers for who wants to be part of the security force in case shit goes down. 42 people volunteer. He then begins training them and giving...
I mean, if you give bar to mailmen or anyone, like that becomes like a powerful thing, but like obviously you need to train for it. There's a reason why in America you can buy a lot of guns, but you can't buy military guns, right? I'm pretty sure which is the gun you can buy, which is like M16 but not M16, right? M16, right? No. I'm forgetting the name. The assault rifle that everybody like don't like apparently. Oh, that's the issue. I forgot. But it's basically M16, but commercial version, right? You can have SCAR weapons, right? SCAR H or SCAR L even. H obviously being like the heavy ammo one, Winchester style ammo, while L is like your 5.45 or something, or is it 5.56? Yeah, something like that, right? So you can't have that. So many military weapons you can't buy as a commercial. It's just like, yeah, that kind of thing. Or maybe you can buy it but can't legally carry it. I don't know what the thing is, but yeah, something like bar and things you can't buy. So if you just give something like a bar, which is like a heavy type machine gun type of gun, this right here, if you give that to mailmen, basically train them to aim right or use that right. That's it. Like, doesn't matter if they're mailmen or not.
Giving them a battle plan, and everybody else is just going to go run and hide in the basement if anything does go down. So for the next 4 months, Conrad is both training the mailmen and building up fortifications. He ends up establishing one of the mailmen as the second in command, and that is Alphonse Flizakovsky. All right, fast forward September 1st, 1939. It's Friday. All the mailmen show up. They start getting their packages together, and while they're all in the post office getting ready to go out on their routes, 180 German SS soldiers roll up with 3 armored cars equipped with 20mm guns and cut the power to the building. Okay, it is like 4 o'clock in the morning and the German military just rolled up and cut the power. The mailmen are like, oh, we're doing this. All right, so they go, they get their guns, they head up to the second story and stick their guns out the window pointed at the Germans. And it is now a complete standoff between the German SS and the Polish post office.
Okay, imagine that, right? The Germans thinking, there's this bunch of mailmen. What the fuck are they going to do, right? And just cut out the power, just standing there, just look up, there's like machine gun barrel pointing at them, like, ah, fuck.
So they're having this military-grade standoff, and then a bunch of civilians start showing up, like newspaper journalists and radio stations, and people are breaking out cameras and they're recording, and then just a giant mass of civilians shows up to watch.
Oh
and
my
as it
God.
turns out, they've all been invited by the Nazis to come and bear witness to the great German military taking the city of Danzig. So once they all show up and get the cameras up and rolling, then the head of the SS walks forward and makes an announcement to the front of the post office, basically saying, hey, why don't you guys just come out, surrender, give this post office back to the Germans that you stole it from. Clearly he was anticipating that a bunch of mailmen would just surrender, turning...
I don't know why I just went to dark place. Like, did they invite all the civilians just so they can be in the middle of the fire, standoff, just so they can be collateral, so they can basically pressure those people. See, all these innocent people are going to die. Because obviously when you think of the Nazis, you just think of like the most evil people from like Hollywood type of thing, right? Whenever you think of it. That's not like them, like, oh, all these people are going to die unless you surrender type of thing. But no, that's not the case.
Over the post office completely intact, making a great piece of propaganda for the Nazi war machine, showing that the Polish were just surrendering at the mere sight of the great German army.
Yeah.
But what he got instead was 43 Polish mailmen that responded with...
How about new?
So now the leader of the SS is absolutely furious because his little publicity stunt just backfired, and now the Polish mailmen are making him look bad. So he's absolutely going to attack. But here's the thing. He has to attack and try to preserve the post office itself to not destroy the building, because that's the whole point. They're trying to reclaim the city, not destroy it. But then nothing happens for like half an hour. It's still just a standoff, and the Polish mailmen are like, are we fighting or not? What's happening here? Are we just going to stand here all day pointing guns at each other? What's the deal? So they waited, and they waited what felt...
Yo, my man, how to deliver some deliver some mail, man? Are we doing this or not? I have to be done by 4 or something, right? I was just like 10, 12 hours right now. By the afternoon, I definitely have to give this mail. I mean, Amazon one-day delivery. I mean, what can you do about it, right?
like an eternity.
I'm afraid of Bezos more than I'm afraid of you.
But in reality, it was only half an hour, because at 4:45 a.m. there would be a huge explosion off in the distance, and that explosion would be the guns of the German battleship, the Schleswig von Holstein, firing on a Polish military outpost. And these are the first shots of World War II, officially starting the invasion of Poland. This would also be the signal for the SS to begin their attack on the post office as they open fire. Here's the thing with that. The mailmen were inside of a brick building on the second story with machine guns, and the 180 Nazis were standing out in the middle of the street with 3 armored cars. So as soon as the Polish defenders opened fire with their BARs, the Nazis realized that they had made a strategic fucking error, as all of them frantically ran, and all 180 of them tried to hide behind these 3 armored cars. So now all the...
Well, like, what are you gonna do? Throw boxes at us and suddenly just bar opens up? Just ripping everybody off on the street, like, oh, god damn it, they're aiming, they're actually aiming, and everybody just runs behind these armored vehicles. That shit is insane. That's how it started.
The Nazis are pinned down behind these 3 armored cars, and the 3 armored cars turn their turrets with their 20mm guns and begin firing on the front door, trying to break it in so that all the soldiers can rush into the building. So the mailmen, realizing what they're doing, they grab their rifles, their grenades, and their BARs, and they run downstairs and set up firing positions behind the service counter of this post office, as all the guns are just aimed at the front door, waiting for the Germans to break through it and rush in. Okay, do you understand what I'm telling you right now? World War II literally started off like a shitty joke. 180 Nazis walk into a BAR. So the Nazis finally blow open the front door, and 10 of them come running inside, to which the mailmen are like,
"You've got mail."
Yeah.
4 of them are killed immediately, and another 6 are wounded as the entire German advance screeches to a halt, and they turn around and are forced to retreat as they come to the painful realization that the Polish mailmen are quite literally hitting their birth certificates with the return to sender stamp. Now, to be completely fair, there's another battle happening at this exact moment in Danzig over in the naval shipyard. However, it is entirely within the realm of possibility that these 4 Nazis were the first men to die in World War II, and it was from mailmen with machine guns. As soon as the initial wave of Germans fell back, there was a huge explosion on the other end of the post office. Konrad Gadersky takes off running towards it.
See what I love about this, like they planned all this as a propaganda. Like as soon as the mighty German army came, Polish people just gave up. Rather than as soon as the mighty German army came and Polish mailmen just basically bitch slapped everyone. Polish mailmen, not soldiers, mailmen. Like that's the opposite of what they wanted to do, right? They just boosted morale of entire Poland. Look at that, our mailman can kick that ass.
With nothing more than his pistol and some grenades. As he gets there, he turns the corner, seeing that the Germans had blown an enormous hole in the brick wall of the post office, as he begins throwing grenades into an entire platoon of Germans attempting to advance on him before being gunned down.
They just like Call of Duty right there. Press the button and throw all the grenades we have. Man, this shit is insane, man. Some of the every time I hear these stories from federalists, and some of them just every video I just say like this feels like a video game, because it all feels like that. Like, you know, that makes me think that all video games are realistic because shit like this happens all the time. Oh, I'm gonna throw all the grenade because fuck it.
Konrad was credited with killing 4 Germans with those grenades and giving the postmen just enough time to get to that position and defend themselves, again driving the Nazis back and forcing them to retreat. And again, we don't know this for sure because there's another battle happening at this exact moment, but it is entirely within the realm of possibility that Konrad Gadersky has just become the first man to give his life fighting against the Nazis.
Hello.
Yeah, they had no idea how worse the Nazis is gonna be or how horrific they are gonna be. This like the early stages. So for them, they might as well be some militia group or some kind of an army of some place. They're just Nazis. They don't know what we know now, right? So imagine the pride they might have, if they knew what they did, like what kind of a fucked up people they fought off and killed. Like, nowadays, like, in World War II, I killed Nazis, and I would just like collapse that level of pride because, Nazis are just the lowest people, basically. So, imagine like these people knowing back then, like, these people are going to be like that. Obviously, they didn't know because this was literally the start. They don't know how fucked up things going to turn out, but still.
Germans retreating and Konrad Dursky down, the second man in charge, Alphonse Flizakovsky, rises to the occasion and begins instructing all the other postal workers what to do, getting them back into a fighting position, anticipating a third attack. But the Germans are so mad and so embarrassed that their publicity stunt is failing this bad that they don't want to risk it, and they decide that they're going to call for backup. Bear in mind, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning right now, and the Germans wait 6 hours until they can get reinforced by the regular German army, and they can show up with artillery. They had to show up with two 75mm field guns and a 105mm gun just so they could bombard the entire post office. So they start bombarding the—
Wait a minute, that's a real video? I thought they just used some kind of a thing. This is a real one.
Up with two 75mm field guns and a 105mm gun just so they could bombard the entire post office. So they start bombarding the post office with fucking artillery and then send in another attack, and they're still pushed back yet again. With German command having no idea what to do, they just start using everything they have. They get mortar teams out there, and the mortarmen start trying to drop mortars on the post office, but they're so inaccurate, they end up posing more of a threat to the Germans than they do to the Polish mailmen. So they have to call off the attack, they issue a 2-hour ceasefire, and tell the Polish guys, like, hey, you got 2 hours, think about it, you should probably just come out and surrender. Over the next several hours, the Germans would dig underneath the wall of the post office and plant 1,200 pounds of explosives. The Germans would then blow an enormous hole in the post office wall as they rushed in to ambush the mailmen. But the Polish mailmen refused to surrender as they retreated back to the basement, where there was one way in.
Okay, how strong is this building? Like, damn, how is it withstanding war things, right? Like artillery, like this explosion. Okay, there's a big hole in the wall. How is the fucking building not collapsing? Isn't that like a structural wall? What is happening?
And no way out. And yet again, the Germans have no idea what to do from here because the Polish mailmen are just sitting at the bottom of this staircase with 3 Browning machine guns waiting for them to try to come get them so they can gun them down. And the Germans have no idea how to proceed. At this point, the German commander comes to the realization that these mail carriers are not going to quit defending their post office as long as there is a post office to defend. And he is just going to get rid of the entire building altogether as he orders the Danzig Fire Department to begin flooding the basement full of gasoline. The mailmen immediately recognize the smell and begin evacuating the basement as quickly as they could, but not before the gasoline would be ignited by a grenade, killing 3 of them before the rest could escape. With the building burning and nowhere else to go, many of the postal workers decided that they wanted to surrender, but Alphonse Flizakovsky and 5 other men knew that if they surrendered, they would not be treated well by the Nazis, so they decided that they were going to try to run and escape. The other 36 mail carriers decided to surrender, leaving the building under a white flag. The Germans immediately shot and killed the postal worker that was carrying that white flag and took the remainder as prisoners. Of the other 6 postal workers that escaped, Alphonse Flizakovsky and 1 other would be captured the next day on September 2nd as the other—
war crime from the start of it. Like, this is like, yeah. Can this get more, ominous? Like, white flag, man. They're surrendering. What the fuck?
Other 4 would actually escape and get away. This would bring the total count of mail carriers that were captured to 38. Over the following days, 10 of them would die in the hospital due to injuries they sustained during the battle and during the fire. The remaining 28 were then declared illegal combatants by the Nazis, and they were all sentenced to death. This decision would later be declared a war crime because these men were not illegal combatants. They were trained and led into battle by Konrad Dursky, an active and serving military officer in the Polish military. Under his command and the command of Alphonse Flizakovsky, 43 mailmen went toe-to-toe with 180 German SS soldiers reinforced with artillery and armored cars. 8 of them would die in combat, taking with them 10 Nazis and injuring 22 more. And those are just the official numbers from the Germans, which are most likely understated due to their extreme embarrassment. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go check out thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
I think it's like grossly understated thing because I'm pretty sure like not 20, I think it would have been the 60, 80 or something because it was on open ground. They had like bar weapon with them. They didn't expect the Mailmen would fight with a fucking machine gun. I think the number is much higher. Is there anything more? usually says something. No. Oh, not this time. So yeah, 43 Mailmen fight the Germans, the first battle of World War II. This was insane, right? I hated all the shit. Like, people carrying the white flag got killed, right? And later, like, illegal combatants and got killed. That's just insane. I like that guy basically saying, like, okay, they're not going to treat us fairly. We're going to try to escape, which was the right thing to do. Man. Yeah, so that guy was badass apparently. There's always one badass in these stories apparently. But yeah, 43 Mailmen, Polish Mailmen kicked the ass of Germans in the first, like, if there is like any ominous sight, that must have been it, right? I mean, obviously, probably Germans didn't believe in things like that, but if they did, they would have been like, oh my god, this is like, I don't think this is going to turn out right. But I know Germans don't believe in it because people like don't say minus, One thing I learned about Germans even today, they are really scientific, right? They don't give into superstition that much. People, when they go to build, ground floors and basements, they say like basement A, basement 2, sub basement. They don't say -1, -2. Germans do that. People don't have like 13th floor. Germans have that. So yeah. Alright, well, that was 43 Mailmen fight the Germans, the first battle of World War II by channel Fat Electrician. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the reaction under this of Fat Electrician playlist and everything in the end cards or the link in the decision. And yeah, comment if you want to do any other reaction, and I'll see you next time.